But actually imagine if they were able to disrupt themselves and they were able to go do this as well. So if you had an amazing cash flow driving business and you were doing the Bitcoin strategy, that'd be 1 + 1 = 4 or 5. But instead what people are doing is they are saying to themselves, my business isn't working. I need something else. Out of desperation, they're actually going and they're buying Bitcoin, putting it on their balance sheet. You can see this with a lot of these businesses. It's not something to be ashamed of. These entrepreneurs are being entrepreneurial. They're figuring out a way to create value for shareholders. And so they say, look, if my business isn't going to do it, then let my balance sheet go and do that. And I think that that is what's eye-opening to so many people. It's because of the 4,000 publicly traded companies in the United States. A lot of them don't work. A lot of zombie companies out there. And so they're saying to themselves, wait, hold on. Michael Saylor just invented a new magic trick. He gave me the escape hatch. Let me just hit that emergency button and let's go. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's it's crazy to think about MicroStrategy being up 500% this year, the stock. And that's more than double what NVIDIA is doing. And a lot of people point to MicroStrategy as saying, I don't even know what they do as a business other than buy Bitcoin. I know they borrow billions of dollars to buy more Bitcoin and they raise money to buy Bitcoin. Do you think that we will get to a point where it's a disadvantage to not own Bitcoin on your balance sheet for businesses?
Well, if Bitcoin keeps going up, obviously people are just going to look at the past and say, well, I should have bought it. The question is, what is the risk reward for you buying Bitcoin? And then in public markets, one thing that a lot of folks not in public markets discount is a clean story. And so MicroStrategy actually benefits from being the company that is buying Bitcoin. If they had a great business analytics company and were buying Bitcoin, that wouldn't be as clean of a story. And so people kind of know that the business analytics kind of product is not necessarily this big gigantic thing that's amazing. The bulk of the value in the market cap is coming from buying Bitcoin. And so people say, well, this is basically just a levered bet on Bitcoin. And I think that is, kind of a core component here is if you choose to plug your balance sheet into the Bitcoin network, then people start to ask, are you a business that's building a product or a service for customers, or are you a business buying Bitcoin? And I think that that's where people are still trying to figure it out. Can you do both? How do you talk about that? How do investors from a receptivity standpoint kind of treat you? Do they buy your stock or they say, hey, this is a confusing story. I can't tell what you are. Instead, I'm going to go buy somewhere else. And so storytelling is really important in public markets, more so than the private market. And I think that's kind of the phase that we're at now. If people know this works, can I do it? Should I do it? How do I tell the story? Those are the questions people start to ask.
So when I look at MicroStrategy, I think that they have a clear advantage because they've been buying Bitcoin at such high volumes for so long. But when I think about other smaller companies that are just getting into it, it seems like they'll always be behind MicroStrategy, so they won't be able to become the Bitcoin company. And for MicroStrategy, I think they've been able to, no one knows what they do, which I think no one else can fall back into that spot.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are important. The beauty of Bitcoin is that it's not about what everyone else has got. It's about what you got, right? There's no competition here. You buy as much Bitcoin as you can, and Bitcoin works for you just as much as it works for the next person, whether they got 0 Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin, or they got 10 Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin still works. And so on the public company's standpoint, how much MicroStrategy buys shouldn't affect you. Just go buy as much as you can, and that'll work for you. Now, the other thing that I think is pretty interesting is that all of these different companies are coming up with different novel ways of pulling off this strategy. What MicroStrategy does is they issue debt and they sell equity, and they're going and doing this. They have a very large ATM that they're going and tapping the market, and they're able to raise billions of dollars because they have a lot of investor interest. They're also issuing these convertible notes at a premium with a very low to 0% interest rate. Very interesting strategy. If you go and you look at MetaPlanet as an example, not only are they issuing debt and doing equity, but I believe they're also selling covered call strategies.